Hi, my name is Darko and I'm a senior software engineer at Matterless, and I'm going to tell you about the hand recognition system that I've been working on with the Incos. As a Unity software engineer at Matterless, I work on an augmented reality app called Incos. It's a digital companion app where we try to push boundaries with what is possible in AR and prove that digital things are real with an ability to interact with a digital creature. Before I joined Matterless, I worked as a freelance contractor for more than 50 clients. I mainly worked on augmented reality apps along with mobile and PC games. Back when I started, most AR apps were just a gimmick, and so I tried to build something very unique, and so I built a fully functional game which was very innovative for its time. The hand recognition system is a set of subsystems that work together to make AR interaction as real as possible. Each subsystem gives end user a feedback on how close their hand is to an object. Now I'm going to name all the systems that are integrated into the hand recognition system. So we have proximity layering system, audio attenuation system, visual proximity system, and the last haptic feedback system. As we developed our first iteration of the pet simulator, we realized that there is no meaningful connection between the pet and the player. It just did not feel right, and so we don't want to build just another gimmicky game that player will play only once and never again. So we had this idea: what if you could touch pet? What if pet could interact with your hand? When we give our app to players, they will instinctively try to touch the pet, but quickly they will be disappointed when they realize that there is no reaction to their hand. So the purpose of hand recognition system is that it enables player to interact with the pet with its hand. Fortunately, our sister company Aki has developed a hand tracking system that our hand recognition system works on top of. So in theory, to understand, hand recognition system works as a middleman between hand tracker and the pet. As a kid, I used to have a cat as a pet, and then when my family moved, we had to move apartment where we were not able to have a pet, so I had to give my cat to a friend. And so after that experience, as I grow, I always wanted to have a cat, but that was not possible because I always moved. With an app like Incos, at least I could have a virtual pet that I could feed and play with without kinds of practical roadblocks that I experienced. And I truly understand that there are many of you with similar experiences like mine, and so our highest priority is to make this app work. Now let me tell you more about how each subsystem works. The layering system is the first one we created and is the most important one. Every other subsystem depends on this one. The pet itself is surrounded by 3 layers that a player can interact with, and each layer has its own size, and depending on the distance between the hand and the pet, it will trigger different behaviors. There are 3 audio layers that play at different stages, and the first audio layer is a proximity audio layer that gets stronger as you get closer to the pet, and the second audio layer is coupled with the hand velocity, and it gives this touching and petting feeling to it. And with the third audio layer, we wanted to add something very original, so when player's hand enters inside the pet, you're gonna hear this heartbeat audio, and so that gives you this feeling that the object is real and alive. This system was created in collaboration with the team of technical artists who created these very cool visual shaders. So far we have created a glow effect which gets stronger as you get closer with your hand to the pet. This shader was quite easy to implement because its behavior is very limited, but this other shader is very complex. We call it the dissolve shader, and what it does, it tracks the position of your hand against the pet. When the player hovers with its hand over the pet, it will show the depth of how close it is to the pet. And this shader gives us the power of where exactly the pet is being touched, and it will enable us to trigger behaviors depending on the touch position. The haptic feedback is a new experience with us, and we are not 100% sure whether it's gonna work or not. Every iPhone actually has a haptic engine integrated into it, and what it does, it simulates a button press with vibration. And we want to use haptic engine to simulate a physical touch. If player uses one hand to hold the phone and other hand to touch the pad, the haptic engine will be felt in the hand that is holding the phone, which is logical, of course. But as we did some research, we realized that the player, if he's deeply focused on the gameplay, he will not realize in which hand the haptic feedback occurred. And so what we want to achieve with this is that we want to trick player brain that he physically touched the pad. Another edge case that we discovered, that on iOS, haptic feedback is used to play warnings and errors. And because of that, players might associate our haptic feedback with an error, or they might think that there is something wrong with the Incos app, and we want to avoid that. We are still testing this system and finding the best use cases. There were many challenges that we encountered. As we initially started to design the system, we were not quite sure how it's supposed to work, and that ended up in adding new features that were completely removed. Also, we discovered many edge cases where the player could manipulate the app. We discovered that different players will interact with the pad differently, and that caused the system to fail. What happens when the player removes his hand too quickly from the screen? How do we stop audio when the hand is not present on the screen? Setting the right fading or smoothing variables was quite a challenge. So far, the system itself is at a very stable state, and we are at the polishing stage, and we are finding ways to improve the visual aspect of the system. Right now we are working on this fur shader that will animate itself when the hand is sliding through the fur of the pad, and that is gonna give this visual feedback to the player that that pad is actually being touched. Also, the system that we made is only working in a local network, and we are finding a way how to make it to work in a multiplayer, because Incos game is a multiplayer game. And also, we will not limit Incos game to just pets that you can see in real life. We want to add these different creatures that are very unique, because we try to attract this wider audience of players. And so this is it for today, and see you in the next update. Visit our Discord to chat with us, and check out the links in the description to learn more, and see ya.